item is number 5, consider approving the purchase of iPad cellular pull pads in the amount of $271,437.50 and approving the extension amendment to Anoka County Contract C0006472 with No Inc. LLC from February 25th, 2025 to February 24th, 2026, with automatic renewals each year.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do I have a motion on this to put it on the table?
So moved.
It's been moved by Commissioner Jepson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Meiser. Questions, comments? Commissioner Heinrich.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to vote no on this today. Nothing is 100% secure, but I do feel that paper poll pads are more secure than electronic poll pads. If there was a nefarious actor trying to gain voter information through the poll pad system, that is certainly more scalable, and that's my concern, is the scalability of possible fraud. There's less chance of fraud taking place, I feel, with paper poll pads versus the electronics. Paper's not without some cost and less efficiency maybe than the electronic pads. But I feel like for me that's a concern of mine, is the scalability because of the use of electronics, where if fraud were to happen on paper, it would just be less scalable. And so for that reason, I'm voting no today, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Meiser.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, first of all, I do want to acknowledge the group here out in the crowd. Election security, as we all know, has been something that some of the community has spoken openly about for the last at least 2 years. I will be supporting this for a variety of reasons. Again, the state of Minnesota has some of the most rigid laws around security, number one. Number two, we have checks and balances, and I assure you, if there was any actual evidence or data that indicated that these were not secure, I too would also be in agreement to maybe take a look at that. Anoka County has done some steps to increase this on good faith measures, and then also we do have to comply to state statute. So I do want to express that again. We follow the laws of the state, and so this is one of them. In terms of why I will be supporting this, again, it is efficient. It is actually secure. You cannot prove a negative, and I think that's probably the hardest thing around this issue, in my opinion. You can't prove not fraud is happening, and I kind of think that's mostly been your position, because whether it's a post-election review or other checks and balances that all counties do, we show time and time again that there is no fraud happening. So that is why I will be supporting this. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Reinert and then Commissioner Schulte.
Yeah, so I'm not going to be supporting this as well. But, you know, for a lot of different reasons, really. So we started using these poll pads in 2018. Up until 2018, we used the paper rosters. They worked fine, obviously. I think that there wouldn't be anybody that says they didn't. Otherwise, you'd be saying every election prior to 2018 had a problem. So they work. They're probably a little more cumbersome. I've been trying to, I guess, you know, have discussions at the county here for about a year and a half, probably closer to a year and a half, about just giving cities autonomy, the autonomy to use the paper or use the poll pad. Because the more that I, you know, try to bring forward that conversation, the more that I'm told that the poll pads really aren't that big a deal, you know, and it's true. I mean, the poll pad doesn't actually carry any votes, hold any votes. It's basically a roster. You've got the paper roster, you've got an electronic roster that's on a poll pad. It's kind of a spreadsheet that's on a poll pad. Well, if it's that low bar, then what's the big deal? To me, I don't really care if a city uses a paper roster or an electronic roster. I just want to allow them the freedom, the autonomy to do what they want. And so, you know, I keep being told that we're going to have a vote on this board about it, about that topic, about that question. And, you know, whether or not, and it might fail and it might succeed, I don't know, but I've been trying to have it come before this board for a very long time. I'm told now that we are going to have it at an upcoming committee meeting and that it would come to the board. We'll see. But, you know, to me, it's all about procedure, too. We should probably have that vote first, identify the cities that, you know, want these poll pads and not want these poll pads, and then, you know, have some time pass for the cities to answer that question, yes or no, and then we would know which cities want them and which cities don't, and then you go buy a poll pad. So, yeah, for me, it's about procedure, it's about autonomy, and I don't really care if you use poll pads or not, but it should be left up to the cities, and the county shouldn't be lording over all the cities and say, you will be doing it this way. So, you know, for those reasons, I won't be supporting today.
Thank you. Commissioner Schulte.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The public has been deeply engaged in this process. I've received more calls in the last 2 weeks than probably in the last 10 years on any issue. So I applaud the public for that. Being engaged in any process at the county is important, particularly when it comes to elections and tax dollars. That's all really important stuff. But this is an important issue from the respect that election integrity is vitally important, but there is no fraud, not in Anoka County elections. I've asked many times over the last 4 to 5 years to present some fraudulent cases. Show me something. Show me something where there's been fraud in Anoka County, because I really want to address it if there has been. I want to figure out where it's been and how we can fix it. And there just hasn't been any. Poll pads are a very simple tool. Prior to this idea, we were using poll pads that worked through a hotspot, which was through the web, the internet, which arguably may be easier to hack than a cellular network. These iPads will go through a cellular network. Much tougher to hack. If you're on your cell phone playing around at the library or anywhere else and you're on the Wi-Fi network, you stand a pretty good chance of getting hacked. Wi-Fi networks can be hacked fairly easily. But if you're on your cell phone and you're not on the Wi-Fi network, you're not going to get hacked. It's really, really hard to hack a cellular network. These iPads will be on a cellular network. So the idea of them being hacked are slim to none. Hacking them really wouldn't do you much good. All they are names and addresses of people that are going to vote. And all the poll pad's going to tell you is whether or not they voted yet or not. And frankly, the apps on your cell phone track you nonstop all day, every day. So when you go to vote, anybody will know whether you have voted or not, because your apps are tracking you. They're telling you. Anybody can log into their cell phone and tell, well, not anybody, but most people will be able to tell whether you voted or not just by whether or not you've been to your polling place. As far as costs, going back to paper, people will tell you, some people will tell you that there's no cost to that or it's reasonable. That's misinformation or disinformation. I'm not sure which term is correct. It will be an expensive proposition to go back to paper. Not just the cost of paper, not just the cost of full-time employees, but temporary employees. Every city will have to do it. The county will have to do it. It will be an expense. So for those reasons, I am going to support this. And I do appreciate each and every one of you that contacted me and that I've had lengthy conversations with. I hope you understand my position, but this is an important topic. I listen to you. I understand your points of view. But I am going to support this. I think it's the right thing to do for the county. I think it's the right thing to do for our taxpayers. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Jepson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I don't want to duplicate everything that everyone has said, so I'll try and keep my comments a little bit different. But I do want to echo one thing that they said. I want to say thank you for your time. You guys have put an immense amount of time and energy into the paperwork you give us, the research you've done, being here almost every single meeting and providing public comment. And I want you to understand that even though I am going to support this, I have listened to you, I have done looking into, I've read every document and every email and listened to every voicemail that you have left me. So your efforts have not gone unnoticed at all. The hard part about what our job is understanding the much, much bigger picture and how your information and your efforts also then balance out with our staff's information and our staff's efforts, all the while making sure that we are good stewards of taxpayer dollars. That job at times like these issues, as Commissioner Schulte said, is very hard because this is very important work. And so for me, voting to purchase these poll pads, one, I want to support staff in their efforts, but I also want to respect the decision from the board back in 2018 and the decision and the direction they chose for this county to go into. That was an intentional decision based on information they had at the time, and I do want to support that. I also want, based on the financial component to it, I think Anoka County has been extra financially responsible in their ways of handling these poll pads thus far. So we all have a device. We have a phone, we have a tablet, we have a laptop. All of us have some sort of a device, right? And we all know, I mean, cellular companies say every 2 years your contract is up because they know that those devices have a shelf life. Well, these poll pads have had a shelf life of 3 to 5 years. We are on year 7. And so extending that lifetime on devices, that is an ancient device now. And so being good stewards, we were able to buy time of 2 to 4 years additionally with what we're doing. And that is the hope. In addition to that, with the storage cases, we are retrofitting our current cases so that we don't have to buy new ones for the new poll pads, which it sounds like we're going to be purchasing now. So I also want to comment because none of us have really commented on this in the past. And so I really want to hone in my final comment on, you know, the paper worked in the past, let's just go back to the past. Okay, if you want to use that argument, mailing letters has really worked in the past. But then you have the internet and email. Picking up a phone, and you know, we always use the phone, well now our phones are flat devices, right? And push buttons and dials. Well, that worked in the past too, but now we have texts, right? So progress comes, and we have to be part of that progress in order to make sure that we serve our residents and our constituents while also being fiscally responsible. So with that, I will leave my comments there, knowing that I will be supporting this purchase.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Reinert.
Yeah, just final comment, and I'm not gonna, you know, jump on anybody up here. I mean, they all have their own opinions, and fine. But I think I do want to correct one thing, though. I don't believe the board in 2018 did vote. I think it was an administratively implemented change to have the cities use poll pads. And I believe only one city actually voted on the topic. And it's strangely enough, one of the cities that now don't want them. But anyway, yeah, I mean, if they're as secure as everyone says, if they're, you know, as low bar as they are, that it's just a spreadsheet on an electronic device, I mean, why do we care what cities use? I mean, to me, it's about freedom and autonomy. I mean, drive a Chevy or a Ford truck. I mean, you know, like you said, email, mail a letter. Some people still like to mail letters. It's more to me about just, you know, let cities do what they want to do. If there's truly no difference, let cities do what they want to do.
You're good? Okay. Just to wrap up, we have 6 of us up here today. So it'll need 4 votes to pass. And this will be, I'm not going to add any more. Everything has probably been said by everybody here. I do appreciate the contacts from the public. both phone calls and emails, read through them, listened to the messages, talked with a few people on the phone. That went a little longer than I anticipated, but it was fine. I wasn't in the middle of anything, so I could do that. Some of the phone calls came during meetings where I wasn't able to pick up, and I apologize for that. Well, we've had a lot of legislative meetings going on where we've been down in St. Paul on different issues facing the county, and couldn't really leave those meetings at the time. So I apologize, but I listened to the messages that were left. So with seeing no other questions, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Heinrich,
No.
Commissioner Reinert.
No.
That passes 4-2.